Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome, living beneficiaries, to the show for living beneficiaries, the House of Hidalgo show on the Estate Radio Network. Prepare for the most educational 60 minutes on all of radio with your host, Rick Hidalgo. The House of Hidalgo show can be followed on Twitter or Facebook by searching House of Hidalgo. Find the show on the web at www.therockofsalem.org. Sign up for the newsletter, and while you're there, take the 5-question survey to let us know what you think. The Estate Radio Network is part of the Blog Talk Radio family of networks and can be found at www.blogtalkradio.com/South Dakota DP. Join the show now by chat or call 619-639-4605. Don't forget to dial 1 to get in the queue. Here's your host, Rick Hidalgo! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Rick Hidalgo. This, of course, is the House of Hidalgo show on the Estate Radio Network. And we have another doozy for you tonight. In fact, it's kind of, in a way, a follow-up of what we did last night, as I played a replay, a full-hour replay of a show that was done with Post Office Master, Postmaster General James McBride, and that show that we aired last night goes a long way to explaining what DP is really all about. But tonight we're going to talk exclusively about all things that have to do with divine providence, things that are going on in the world, and how it's being affected by the things that are going on right now, even within divine providence. And to go into that issue tonight, I've brought on a very special guest, and that is my becoming very good friend, Rob Marques. Now, he's I got him muted at the moment. I just wanted to remind everybody before I bring him on that at the bottom of the site, blogtalkradio.com, South Dakota DP, there is a chat room. If you log into that chat room, you can ask your questions in that chat room. Otherwise, go to 619-639-4605 and dial 1 to get in the queue. That's 619-639-4605. So without any further ado, I'm going to welcome my good friend on. Rob, are you with us?
Yep, I'm here, Rick. How are you?
Hey, just wonderful, wonderful. I'm really glad that you came on the call tonight. This particular show has been dedicated from day one to the living beneficiary, trying to help everybody understand how to live in this upside-down world and how to turn it all upside up. And tonight, yeah. And tonight we're kind of going full circle and coming right back to the start to talk about where this is going ultimately. But to start with, I wonder, Rob, could you talk a little bit about what makes Rob tick? I mean, what got you even involved in looking at freedom to begin with? Weren't you happy being a slave?
Actually, I was very happy being a slave. I was so fast asleep, man. I was loving it. And I'm a young guy, just so all you guys know. I'm 37. People mistake me for my 20s all the time because I look really young. I'll be 38 here in the next month. But my parents actually got into. They were doing Tim Turner's Freedom Process, and Donna Kozak, who was with Tim at the time, had come down and. She helped my mom. She was really sweet, and my mom was really into this. And my father lost everything because when the economy struck or went down the tubes in '06 or whatever, he started losing everything. And this was the third or fourth time in their life that I had witnessed. And I kind of blamed my mom because I thought she was a spendaholic. That was my way of my ego was kind of just blasting her for that. Turns out that they had a warrior's heart, and they weren't going to back down. They wanted to know why good Americans who were honest, because there is no man that I know in my life more honest than my father or more hardworking. I mean, that man is amazing. And they wanted to know, why can't we make it in this country? So anyway, they were doing the freedom process. I, for one, told them they were absolutely crazy, conspiracy theorists. Don't bother me with this garbage. Pay your damn bills and stop being lazy. Okay, that's how harsh. That's how harsh my my consciousness was at the time. Okay, I didn't know, and I was embarrassed. So that's how I handled it. So then I started looking into something my mother had told me very simply that just struck, and it was a simple fact about signing your name on the bottom of the check in the line that's not a line, it's a series of words. And that one simple little trivial fact got me thinking of, why do they put something so small on there that is supposed to alert anyone who's trying to fraudulently sign your name? If they're trying to alert someone, authorized signature, don't do this kind of thing, don't you think it would be really big and in your face? So that hit me solid, and I said, let me look into this. Well, then RUSA had come around, and I said, sign me up. I don't even know anything about law. I don't care. I just know that now I'm starting to look into this stuff. I got fear in me. I was like, oh my God, FEMA's coming in here. We're gonna get it. The government is just going to crush us. And granted, that was the path. That was what was supposed to happen. Many things have changed since then, and the path has been redirected. And I know a lot about that, and I can get into that later. But so that's what put me on the path, and I got into Restore America, and I was on the first juries. I knew nothing about law. I just watched how the juries were set up, and I kind of kept quiet, and I started studying. And then they started giving out, kind of positions, and I said, well, I'll fill a position until someone comes in and knows what the heck they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing with any of this stuff, but hey, you know what? I'm here as a team. I'm going to do this with everybody. Signed up. Got in a position. Well, turns out some other members had come in, and as just about everybody in RUSA can attest to, there was a huge bit of fighting going on at one point. And I was part of that because I, for one, I do not look at any man as unequal, and I definitely think the truth is the truth is the truth, man. And if you're not walking your truth, and if you're not talking your truth, you're going to show me. I don't even have to do anything but watch your actions and go, okay, you're obviously not honest because you're showing me. So a guy came in, he started getting all the dishonest people together, and then they started a fight, This guy was a guy that really, really upset me, okay? This guy was a guy that I wanted to take down, and what I wanted to do was I wanted to take him down in the way that the common law said that this is how things are supposed to function, because I figured if we're in this interim government, we need to set it back the way it needs to be. I better know something about common law. So I start studying. I start talking to the Chief Justices at the time, John Jay and Bob Schaefer and all, and I was getting a lot of shady stuff from them after a while when I had gone through proper processes in common law, like notice and demand, and trying to get these people that were arguing with us to settle their argument in a peaceful way through common law means. And when I started calling these other people, they're giving me all kinds of shady stuff. So anyway, my point with this is the guy I battled the most taught me the most, because I dove into studying day and night, upside down, right side, left. I was just studying because I wanted to beat this guy's butt in law so bad. And let me tell you, that taught me everything. I really started, I got on 1215.org, started studying from Bill Thornton. I got the jurisdictionary video like he suggested. I followed everything he did. And the reason I followed Bill was because Bill had his stuff on the website, on his website, was not charging a fortune, and he had judgments in his favor, and he had it on his website. To me, I said, well, here's a guy that's done it. That's a guy I want to learn from. So I kept learning, and I wound up falling into the whole RUSA thing. And to be honest with you, it became very apparent to me after I got back from Atlanta that there were no oaths being written, which to me was a fundamental flaw, because if you're going to support a document, you best have an oath on that thing with your signature. There were no signature oaths, and that was called out, yada, yada, yada. It got into all that stuff. so then I just kept studying common law and jurisdiction. My understanding was, why am I going to go in and argue a banknote? Why am I going to argue this? Why am I going to argue that I wasn't speeding? Why? No, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to say, I'm not in your jurisdiction, and here's why. Okay, because I'm a living flesh and blood man, and I'm not a legal fiction. And boy, let me tell you, I didn't realize how much power that really had, because I remember Bill saying, jurisdiction is your linchpin, and damn if he wasn't right. That is your flag, man, jurisdiction, because they have none. Okay, and it's a very simple way to pull it out on them. So anyhow, that's how I got started, and I went through the RUSA thing. I wound up getting in a group called Nation States with Jim Wright, who, was kind of going at Tim with all this stuff. And that didn't work either. There's a lot of things that just weren't aligning, things that weren't right in law. And after that, I said, you know what? I'm a free man. I'm a free man. I don't know why I have to do any of this stuff anymore, because I am a free man. Why am I free? Because I know there is no one who is above me but God, the Creator. Okay, so when I go into a courtroom, you can't be in front of me. That's an impossibility according to universal law. You cannot tell me what to do. And if I do not give you the name of the account, okay, the estate, then I'm good, because that estate has nothing to do with me. And so anyway, so I gave up on everything, and I just started enjoying my life, man. Went back out, started, canoeing, playing in the rivers with my son around my house, just having a good time, just loving life. And then I came across Divine Providence, and at first I shunned the whole thing, because I say, here's another guru out there saying he's going to do this, do that, he's going to charge you for his seminar, you're going to pay $1 million, and people don't know what the documents really are. They're going to put them in, they're going to get in trouble, and where's this guy going to go? He's going to disappear. So I didn't even want to bother with Divine Providence at that point, because I'd already been through all this. I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. Well, my parents did it again, And my parents brought the information back. About 2 months after they went to the seminar in Virginia, I started looking at it. And the minute I read the Postal Treaty for the Americas 2010, I knew from my studies and from inside my soul was connected to that document. I was like, there is no way in hell that you cannot stand on this document. Okay, and a lot of people want to talk about that document. Oh, well, I heard one guy trying to, down the Divine Providence or whatever, because, you're going to have that. I mean, whatever, people have their opinions, and it's not for everybody. So they're trying to down, JT, and they're saying this and that, and the guy says, yeah, if you go to his website, the first thing you'll notice is there's no signatures on that treaty. And I'm thinking, well, that's a really good point. You know why? Because that's his Microsoft Word copy. That's not the real treaty he has up there, okay? Because let me tell you, I've seen the real treaty firsthand with my own eyes, and let me tell you, when you see the ancient Asian stamps and the Vatican stamps and the UN stamps and the UPU stamps and all the other stamps on that thing, I will tell you right now, that is a real living treaty, okay? So for me, I was like, wow, I'm blown away. I'm thinking, I don't know what else we need. So that's where I got to the DP. And let me tell you, I have stood on these documents and nothing else. I have not filed a single piece of paperwork in any court. And merely by using these documents, I've gone into court and represented somebody. Let's not use the word represent. I spoke for somebody, okay, 2 people. And when I got there that day with them, and after I got up and spoke, and I put the keys of St. Peter right on my white tie, which was my peace flag, and when I got up there and I was done speaking to this judge, well, actually, I wasn't done. I blocked him, and he couldn't get around it, so he had to leave the courtroom. He came back out after he left the courtroom, and he started dismissing every single case that he possibly could that didn't have a state witness, and he also reduced every single fine that he possibly could. Some fines were $800. He was reducing them down to $20, okay? Not only was he reducing them like that, he was letting people go, and just totally the whole demeanor of that courtroom changed. And it took him quite a while to, he battled me for about three sessions before he finally got the bailiffs to body block me out of there. In peace, okay? Here's the thing. Well, you didn't really win. Well, let me tell you something. The people I was there with were on some 2 bogus trumped-up charges for burglary and theft on their own property, right? Because we all know the mortgage scam. They moved them out of there, and they evicted him, and I went in there and spoke for him, and they were trying to get him on burglary and theft. They reduced a 90-day jail sentence down to time served. They combined the two, or they got rid of the one sentence of burglary, and they hit him with, I'm sorry, it wasn't theft, it was trespass, and they hit him with trespass, and they gave him a $100 fine. Okay, so even though I got kicked out of that courtroom, two things happened. That judge was reacting to whatever I did, because I did some stuff prior to this court going in that day, and he knew he was being watched, okay, so he was doing stuff based on our orders, okay, and the second thing was I never got arrested, and he tried 2 times to get me arrested, and they couldn't touch me, okay. So the power of these documents, yes, are very, very real. A lot of people kind of don't really understand the full scope of it. So I guess, that's why I'm here tonight, to help people kind of understand how that all comes together. So sorry for my long-winded introduction. I hope I gave you all a good, clear overview.
Yeah. No, that's fine, Rob. But I did want to support you on something you said there. You mentioned that you've seen with your own eyes the documents with all the seals of the ancient families and all that stuff. And I could tell you that a lot of the people listening to this show tonight have also seen that, and I've seen pictures of it myself that came from those people. So yes, I can verify it's real.
It is real. I also have a very close friend of mine who has a close friend, okay? So, yes, it's a friend of a friend, but I do mutually see this guy from time to time. I actually just spoke with him yesterday, who confirms a lot of things, okay, from inside the Pentagon. He's in the free energy department, and believe me, this dude has no fear. He goes in and knocks on doors with the Black Ops guys and everything, and he tries to find out, who's doing what's going on, where's the next maneuver, what are they trying to pull, and he gets information. I will tell you, he's got no information, okay? That's a good sign, okay, because that means that they know what the potential is, and it's very, very critical that it doesn't blow up before they're ready to announce certain things. Let's just put it that way. So the guy, the guy definitely confirmed. He read the documents himself. He said, I am in the service, and I am signing these documents. I don't care what anybody says, and they can screw off, So even he's hyped about it, I'm like, wow. And he hasn't found any information on it. But he told me the fact that there's no information is a great sign, because you guys they're looking for crazy people with guns, okay, anti-government people. That's what they're looking for. And as long as we stay in peace and honor with integrity and moral fortitude, there is nothing that they can do to us. And I will explain for whoever wants to know why I believe in that so much, because of my own experience and what I've done with these documents.
Yeah, absolutely. Rob, for those that might be listening who are kind of new to Divine Province and don't really understand it, can you quickly go through the progression as to how JT documented that breach of trust?
Absolutely. What he did was basically he put a claim on abandonment, okay? JT's just like all the other guys we hear a lot about, he's very tight with Rod Class and all that. A lot of you may know JT, and he's been around and this and that. I really didn't know JT at all, which I thought was a good thing, because he kind of, to me, was behind the radar a little bit, behind the main scene. But anyhow, he did his claim on abandonment, and he basically sent everything to the UPU, through the UPU. He figured out the UPU law. He put a claim on abandonment for the Postmaster General position here in the U.S., okay? And he basically said, in so many words, you're a fraud, and I'm calling you out, and if you don't respond, that means you've abandoned your post. Now, he also found out that the Postmaster General, according to the statutes at large, and I don't have the citing right off the top of my head, but the statutes at large, that the Postmaster General is the seat of government, okay? Now, the Postmaster General is very, very, very significant, okay? You cannot create a government without one, okay? So he figured this out. He sends all this over to the UPU and stuff like that. And all of a sudden one day he gets a call from a CIA agent buddy, ex-CIA guy, that says, you got a package you need to go pick up. So he goes and picks this package up, has no idea what it is, but it's from the Vatican, and he's basically like, this box is practically vibrating, okay? Opens the box, and it's a little trinket, okay? And it says on the bottom, "You are Peter," okay? And JT's like, "Well, this is great. You know, what do I do with it?" And he's like, "I don't even know what to do with it." It took him 3 years to figure out what this was. Okay,
right.
Then what happened was he was approached, okay, by some of the ancient elders of the Asian families and things like that. And what happened was, once he did this, okay, once he put this claim on abandonment for that Postmaster General office, he basically went into the private side and assigned a private, there is a private postmaster number, a private country code in the UPU, okay, but you don't see it on their website and all because it's private, okay, because the entire world is in commerce. We all kind of know these things, okay. Why? Why are they in commerce? What is the post office? Well, the post office derives from the Vatican, okay, because the first post is underneath the dreamer's apartment, okay. The dreamer's apartment is the Pope. The Pope is the dreamer. He's the vicar of Christ. He's the one that takes the position of vicar of Christ until St. Peter arrives. Okay, well, who is St. Peter? Well, St. Peter is the divine spirit. Okay, so all these years, throughout all of Christianity and stuff, the Catholic Church was saying that they were superior merely because they said so, you know, and that went down through the posts, okay, and then they started their corporations through the papal bulls and the canon law. They created corporations, fictional entities that they did not have to now be held responsible for anything that they did because it's a fictional entity that's doing it. Oh, yeah, there's real bodies doing it, but with your consent, they knew as long as you consented, we could do anything, okay? So anyhow, that trickled down. That started to take shape. You got the post office, which is directly below the Vatican. That's the first post, and then it gets dispersed out to the other posts. So when JT did this, he receives the key. He's like, okay, you know, how do I use this thing? 3 years later, it started to take shape. He wrote what was called the Letters Patent Ex Cathedra, the first one. I'm not sure what the title of the first one was, but basically he was giving the orders to the Pope to step down, okay, and that whoever takes the position now is not the real Pope. And basically, not too long after he put that Letters Patent Ex Cathedra out, Pope Benedict stepped down. So what's happening with JT is he's putting out documents, okay, and no one is responding to him to confirm them, but all of a sudden, exactly the way he wrote things out, they start happening, okay? And his thing that he says, and I believe him too, because I tell people this in my local area with what I've done here, okay? You don't believe me, call the Pope, call whoever, and ask them to deny it. You don't believe I am who I am. I sent out 234 notices. You call anyone on that list and ask them to deny that. Okay? Don't ask them to tell you, yes, that's him. No, just ask them to deny it because they can't. There's no way they can, you see. So that's basically what happened, and JT had to learn how to use these keys of St. Peter and what that was really about. The Vatican created corporations. I don't care what religion you're in, and I'm sorry if I ruffle feathers, but you need to do your research, okay? The Vatican created Christianity out of what? The Crusades. How was Christianity established? The Crusades. You can look this up, okay? Well, if it's established by the Crusades, how did that happen? Well, they went into, foreign territory, and they said, we're going to kill you unless you believe in God. Okay, well, why? Well, because the Pope said so. Well, who's the Pope? Well, he's the next in line to Christ. Well, who said so? The Pope. No one questioned the Pope, So basically when JT came back in and did what he did, he infused that chair of St. Peter, which is a trustee position, because why? Because, again, the Pope said so. He is the ruler of the world because he said so. He is not the ruler, but he's the trustee over God's dominion. Okay, he entrusted that to man. God said, okay, Pope, you're the trustee. You're to disperse abundance, peace, and all that, which was a great model until the Pope decided he was going to hijack it for himself and the whole Catholic thing, the Romans, the whole bit. And it's basically what they did, and they hijacked it. And from there, it was just a matter of time before someone came in claiming they were the divine spirit, because the Pope was only answerable to the divine spirit. No one else, nothing else. And when JT claimed himself as divine spirit, as the Postmaster General, divine spirit, having a human experience, the key showed up in the mail. Okay, now a lot of people go, oh, yeah, it's the Pope's key, yeah, I believe it. Well, let me tell you something. The Jesuit order of the Vatican has killed more people on this earth probably than any one army, okay, because they owned all the armies and it was their command to create the wars, okay. These guys, the Jesuit generals, are the back end of the Vatican. They're the dark side of the Vatican. They're, you know, if we were running around with this triple tiara on our shirts, our documents claiming we're this, I don't think we'd last very long. Okay, and JT's been doing it for 3 years, and most of us in the DP have come in since like the middle of last year, about the summer, around this time. So, you know, that alone speaks volumes, and that's how he basically. You can go. I encourage everyone to go to the website and read his activation and claim. You'll see all the UCC filings. You'll see everything he did to claim that abandonment. Okay, all the stuff we all know, we all talk about. Okay, what he did, it might not have been all of his research, but he was able to create the roadmap of all the research to hit all the right truths, okay, to unlock the keys, to get the keys to the world, which are the keys to the universe, which is the keys of St. Peter. That's why when you look at the Vatican from the sky, you'll see it's in the shape of a key and a lock, because the Vatican is holding all the ancient sacred knowledge of the earth. Okay, why? Because they stole it. That's why. And they locked it away. So now you see a pope acting as a pope, but he's not, because he doesn't have the keys of St. Peter, and there's a reason he's acting in that position. That's because you can't just go out and alert the world that some guy from Ohio is the pope. Okay? That's not going to work. So anyhow, that's basically how things came together. Read his activation claim. It's got everything in it on how he did it. And I'm telling you, I did not know this man from Adam until I met him back in December at the seminar in California. And I've personally been with him, and I've gotten very close with him because of my enthusiasm to move this forward, to be here for all the people. I'll get into that in a little bit too. But anyhow, he and I became very close, and there is not a man that I would trust with my back more than my own father, okay? Or I'd say after my own father, because I trust him first, obviously. But JT, I'm telling you, the guy he's an honorable man, and he keeps things close to the vest in order to protect the better of all, not just one, him, a group. He's not charging money. So the money he charges for his documents are very, very reasonable, and that's to cover the expenses. I mean, you got to understand how much he's putting out, and you know, all that stuff for the cost. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's pretty much what I have on that.
Right. So, Rob, do you want to move into a little bit of how DP is, how we're moving forward, what's changing based on DP?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you know, once we started seeing results from JT's letters patent, okay, what was happening at the very top level. Let me get to the treaty real fast. The treaty came about because the dark side, okay, of the Vatican and the other ancients, you know, who are at war, you know, the Vatican and the Crown and all that are all in cahoots here. They came to him and said, we are the dark, and we want everyone to know that we're only here playing a role. We're playing the role of evil. We are playing the role of evil so that humanity could wake up, because you cannot have the light without the dark, okay? And they said, we want a treaty so that the dark will now start to assist the light in bringing this into a whole new earth, okay, a whole new world. And that's what that treaty is about, okay? And they made this treaty, and ever since that treaty in 2010, we are seeing, again, things happening at the top level. According to whenever JT puts out a letters patent, we're seeing at the top level things are happening. Now, what we're noticing is, of course, at the bottom level, these people are confused as hell, okay, because they're not getting filled in. And that's okay. That's going to have its time. That's what we're here for. We're out there promoting. We're doing it. We're using the documents. We're educating the lower levels. We are no longer going after their hides. We're not trying to hang them. We're not trying to get them on breach of trust. There's a reason for that now, too. That has shifted. That's how we started, was calling them out on breach of trust. Okay? We are moving into an educational phase where we are now trying to educate these government entities, because we know that their bosses know who we are and what authority we have, because why? We're seeing it. That's why. We're seeing the results. So basically, that postal treaty was saying a lot of truths about the dark coming to help the light to bring this into the new world. That's where we're headed. I will give you examples of what has taken place. When you, at first, what you have to do is you sign up into the Divine Province. A lot of people have a problem that's a membership, okay? And that's fine. I get it, you know, and I will tell you now that that's going to change, and you won't have to be a member very shortly to use this information. Why? Because this information is for all. It is not for a membership. And JT has known this the entire time. Okay, but he knew that it had to run its course in the way that it is before it shifts into the next phase. Okay, the one thing I will tell you about JT is a lot of times people want results. He puts something out, they want to see it work tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. He is very steady, and he will put something out, and he will keep going and keep going. It's a slow growth, and it's a steady growth, and that is how we've gotten to where we are. So basically, we're going around documenting the breach of trust. You would sign up for the membership. You would get your documents. Your documents and your membership was like $60 for the year, $30 reoccurring for the following years, okay, which to me is a very modest price when I read these documents, and I was like, wow, this is original jurisdiction that no judge anywhere can touch.
Right.
And that's what happened. I got in, of course, and started reading the documents. You get your documents when you get in. These documents are stating you are a divine spirit having a human experience. You are incarnate as men and women. Your estate, your body is your estate. Okay, there's a lot of other people out there telling these things too, these truths. This isn't just coming from Divine Providence, although being that we are now holding, not that we're holding, but we're under the Vatican, who was the creator of all this garbage, and now they're the protector of us to do this. Okay, that's a huge, huge thing. So you get these documents, you notice, all right, you notice everyone around you. The Divine Providence said on their website, when you print these notices out, we encourage you to notice every government agency or official you possibly can think of. Okay, so I took that to heart. Okay, they had a sample list that you could notice. There was only like, I don't know, 10 government agencies or stuff on there.
Yeah.
Most people, that's all they did. Yeah, that's all they noticed was that many. And that's, yeah, you know what, that's fine. But I will tell you now, the more people you notice, the more public record you create, the stronger it is. I went out and noticed 234 agencies, agents, police departments, state troopers, the Queen of England, the Governor of Canada, the Pope, the Secretariat of the Holy See, the Supreme Court, all the federal court justices in my state, most of the courthouses, all the probate courts. I notified all of them. You know how many times the men in black showed up at my door to ask me questions? Zero. You know how many of those I got back saying that they were bogus and fraudulent and they were paper terrorism? Zero. All of my notices were accepted, every single one of them. Okay, so what I did with that was I created a public record. I put a CC list. Every time I send out a notice, I add to that CC list, and because I'm sending out the same notice. So when they get this notice, when I started at my first mailing lot was 70, I dropped 70 at a time. When they got this paperwork and they saw that 70 of their superiors and subordinates had this stuff, yeah, there was no hiding to say that they didn't get it. That's how I locked them in, was with a CC list, okay? They knew it. So there was nothing they could do. Now, I've got a clean record. I've never been arrested for anything, never filed a piece of paper in court. And I'll tell you why I never filed in court, because I didn't believe in commercial remedy, okay? Now, there's a lot of you on here that, I've had great success, and that's fine, and you will. There's no doubt. I'm not saying that. I don't want anyone to get upset that I'm saying that those processes don't work. They're only half a remedy. You will not get a full remedy in the commercial process. It is an impossibility. Because whenever you're using a commercial process, you're admitting to what? You're in commerce. If you're using UCC, I got a buddy that keeps going around and around with me about UCC. I said, you do what you want, man. I'm not twisting your arm to do anything. But the word, the acronym UCC stands for Universal Commercial Code. So why are you using it? Well, because that's how they function, right? Right. That's how they function. Now you're functioning like they are. So I knew from when I start going into court the way I want to handle this, and I would have even handled it before DP because I was already on this trail, and me and a buddy had already done some of this stuff without divine providence documents. We wrote our own documents as divine spirits from the one creator and all that even before DP. So we were kind of on to this, So I put out all these notices, and the beauty of it is I've never filed one piece of paperwork in their court ever. And you know what? When I send out a notice now and I go to court for somebody to stand as a witness, it's interesting how the court is doing exactly what my notice told them I wanted done. Exactly, to the letter. We just found that out last Friday for the second time, and that sealed the deal for us. We knew they were listening, because they followed everything I put in my notice. Now, this isn't the DP notices. I went on my own and started writing notices because I felt that these people needed to be communicated to a little bit. The notices from the DP are very broad, so I wanted to bring it down to a more detailed sense. What I discovered was amazing. It's all about noticing. I don't care what it is. They get a notice. I don't file anything. I don't file these documents in court. A couple people have. They've had okay success with it. I don't touch it. And I've had tremendous success. So that's what happens when you get in the DP. You get your docs and you send them out to everybody. What JT just found out is amazing. He found out that somewhere along the line in history, the Treaty of 1213, okay, this will kind of turn some of the common law people, it'll turn you on, and I'm sure you'll have your varying thoughts and opinions on it. But the fact of the matter is that the Treaty of 1213, okay, King John had been excommunicated, okay, and he was so into Christianity, that was the worst thing in the world, was to be excommunicated. And the only way that the Pope would let him back into the church was if King John gave up all his kingdom to the entire world, all his share of the world, and that the Pope himself was now to claim title to all the world. And this happened in the the Treaty of 1213. Okay, so King John signed it. So here's what happened with the Magna Carta a few years later. Okay, the knights held the swords to King John's throat, made him sign the Magna Carta. Well, most of us know in any contract law, okay, you're going to have someone sign something like that, a treaty, into effect under threat and duress. I mean, that doesn't really work at the highest hierarchies of law. Okay, so that's a problem. Okay, then the Pope himself, Pope Innocent III, who was party to the Treaty of 1213, declared that it was null and void. But what they did do was they saw a way that let's make the people believe that this common law thing is really good, okay, and we can further enslave them because why? The best slave is the one that thinks he's free. So they said, just let them have it, which they did. And then we began that whole history, you see. So what JT found out was that, number one, the Pope was the true title holder to the world, okay, again, by declaration, and that also the birth certificates, okay, at one point they turned into pauper certificates. and we were all made paupers, everyone with a birth certificate or, nationalization papers, whatever. It doesn't matter. If you have a birth certificate anywhere in the world, you're a pauper, okay? And you're relying on the church to be your parents because you are not capable of handling your own, thinking for yourself. Can't do it. So what he just found out was their pauper certificates, and now we have a process of dispauperment, okay, which is about to really blow off the chain here shortly. They're dispauperment certificates, okay, and what we do is we send our birth certificates in, scan them, boom, we put them on the document. These documents get sent to these entities that are trying to bear down on us financially and whatever else, okay. What these documents say is that you have 100% responsibility for your own actions, full liability, not unlimited or not limited liability like paupers have. You have unlimited liability, meaning you are responsible for everything you do to every other human being, yourself, while you're here on this earth. So that's huge because people have to understand what that really is. I mean, I myself am very kind and courteous to everyone. That's just my nature. I'm positive, yes, sir, no, sir, thank you, appreciate, whatever I can do to help somebody. So you know what? I'm already taking 100% responsibility for myself. I'm okay with these documents. No problem. I can do this, So these dispauperment certificates now are going to be issued as claim for basically any property that the legal fictions are trying to hold, or anything. I don't care, property, money that they're trying to do, because what the key to all this is, Iraq came out of Chapter 7. July 1st was the official reset. That's why Janet Napolitano and Ben Bernanke and one of the other governors on the Federal Reserve Board and all are stepping down. Okay, they're stepping down September. I hear it's September 1st. I'm not quite sure. We all know how dates are. I don't like to give them out because you never know what the hell's going to happen. But the bottom line is I'm sure most of you out there that have dinar are all excited about the dinar revalue. That is part of this, okay? When Iraq came out of Chapter 7, they pulled the world out of Chapter 7. There is no bankruptcy anymore. It's all over. The good old U.S. says, well, we're going to take a couple years before we let our people know, So that's exactly what it is, because we all know why. They're trying to suck every last little bit of life out of us that they can before it's Dunsville for them. But the difference, the only thing for you to reap those benefits, the only way for you to reap those benefits is to claim those benefits. And you claim them by handing in your dispauperment certificates, okay? And you claim them by basically standing up and saying, I know. I know who I am. I know who you are. And you're a legal fiction, and it's as simple as you're a legal fiction, and I am a living, breathing, divine spirit. I am a human being. We all know this. This is the whole, the straw man, yada, yada, yada. That claim, now what you're going to do is you're going to tell them, before you were obstructing my bankruptcy exemption, that's what you were doing to me, and you were in breach of trust for doing that. Now there is no bankruptcy, so what are you doing now? You're instructing my divine inheritance, okay? Mm-hmm. And when someone obstructs an inheritance through a trust, okay, that automatically is a breach of the divine trust, the express trust. Or not the express trust, the implied trust, whatever, the world. That's a breach, and what happens is the property gets escheated back to the king, okay, or back to the property owner by escheat. Well, if the Pope owns all of the corporations or created all of the corporations, okay, and has a finger on them, which they do, a lot of people don't realize how much power the Vatican really has, okay, if they own all the corporations and the Pope owns all the land, okay, because of this creation of what they've done with Rome, the whole bit, then JT comes in. Now, he has the keys of St. Peter, and you can't be Pope without him, so technically, yeah, he's the Pope, okay? Who owns all the property of the world? Well, not owns it, I'm sorry, but who is the trustee over that property? Okay? Yeah, the trustee with the keys, okay? So what we're doing is we're escheating our property back underneath the new administration, which is the trustee, and he gives that land, so to speak. And this is going to sound shady. A lot of people, I'm not giving my land to one man. That's not what this is. Okay, you take that land and you put it back. You give it to the king, and now the king says that is your land, free of all fictional deeds, titles, and all that, any encumbrances. That is your land. That is your home. No one can touch it. We mark it on all four sides so people know who we are. See you, bye-bye, don't come near us, okay? Now, we don't have the exact process in line for that yet. Not that it's not coming. I'm designing that now, okay? I'm designing this process. Again, because I started writing my paperwork and the actual the state of Maryland started listening to me and doing what I said in my paperwork, which was amazing to me because Maryland is all politicians, number one. These guys are in real tight with the D.C. boys, and it's very militant. That's when JT said, okay, I need you to help me, and we need to get these documents written ASAP. So what we're working on now is writing all these documents up that you're going to send in your pauper certificate, or dispauperment certificate, you're going to send in all this stuff, and boom, give us the property back, and here's what we want as evidence that the property is ours. I'm not sure how it's going to lay out, but my hunch is that we're going to have them void out all the deeds and stuff and send them back to us. They'll have 14 days to comply, okay, and if they don't comply within 14 days, and they'll be committing war crimes and crimes against humanity, as per the Pope just said, starting September 1st, that all corporations are basically to zero out all debt, okay, and anything beyond that, anybody trying to go after somebody for debt that like the government's doing, will be a war crime, a crime against humanity, okay. Now, the good thing here in Maryland, why it's working so well, too, is because we're Catholic, man. I mean, you go into our courtroom and they got the state flag with the cross on the top. I mean, their bosses are directly linked. So, anyway, I'm starting to help JT write these documents. We're going to put this stuff out there. And you know what? It's beta program stuff, man. We're getting this stuff together, and we're throwing it out there, and we're seeing what sticks, and what sticks is great, and what doesn't, fine, we move on. Okay, so where we're headed is there. We're headed into educating them, claiming our divine inheritance, and telling them to get off our back. There's only one way. I will tell everyone now, there's only one way that's going to be expedited and not a slow process, and that's if we all rise and stand together. Okay, this is the key, and how I know it's the key is because here in Maryland, people were using their documents for court cases, and it wasn't really working for them. Well, what did I do that was so different? There was a couple key elements, but there's one main element I did when I went into court, and I will never go into court without doing this ever again. I grabbed as many BP members as I could, and I said, we are going into that courtroom as divine witnesses. In original jurisdiction. You don't even have to say divine. We are witnesses in original jurisdiction. And when we went in there with 12 deep, and there were 3 of us standing up front, okay, that was 15 of us, let me tell you something, those boys were scared. And we did it a second time and got the same result because we had people with us. And when the judge saw me out there, and he noticed me, okay, and I'll tell you that story a little later, but he definitely noticed me, who I was. Things started changing real fast, and then he started asking the prosecutor, how many cases do we have? Prosecutor, how many cases do we have? And he was counting the room every time she'd get rid of a couple cases, and he's like, oh, there's way too many people here for that many cases. He knew. Okay, that dude was running back behind into the back, and he was making phone calls to his boss. What do? I got some guy in here that says he's in original jurisdiction. I can't get any jurisdiction, but he's not even involved in the case. And it worked. And the reason it worked was because we stuck together and we went as a group, and we were there for the better of all. We were not there for one person's issue, although, yes, that was the matter. But we weren't there because somebody was greedy. We were there because we were doing this for people we didn't even know. They were just Divine Province members, and we were like, let's do this. So we notice now that the key to this is sticking together, okay? And JT's getting ready to do a webinar tomorrow, which he's going to introduce me on there. And what we're getting ready to do is try to get as many people as we can, as many people before September 1st to have a process together. I'm going to design a whole process. I'm going to update people twice a week on what's going on. I'm going to design this process. We're going to, obviously issue it to the people as soon as possible. We want it ready by September 1st. I'm not even sure what it's going to be yet, if it's going to be a mass mailing, what it's going to be. But what it will be is a show of as many people across this country and involved with this as possible, okay, that are standing as divine spirits. Okay, we are divine spirits. We are of God. There is no one above us. And when we make that stand on that date, when they do that reset out in the open, I'm telling you what, I already know what's going to go down. Some very, very big changes are about to happen, and for the better, A lot of people are going to think it's mayhem. It's people who aren't in the know are going to freak out because the money's going to do all kinds of crazy things and all. But us in the know can rest assured we're safe, we're good. We're just going to keep going through this and correcting what needs to be corrected until all the people can awaken to what is really going on, and we can all join together and create one world peace, because that's where we are now. There is no more war. Okay, that is going to fade off because of what the Pope is doing. Okay, but remember, what the Pope is doing is being written by JT, because if you read all his documents and then you listen to what the Pope says, it's exactly the same. Exact. And again, the man does not hold the keys of St. Peter for no reason. People don't even know what the keys of St. Peter are. I tell people, what? Go online, go in the Sistine Chapel, okay, the virtual tour of the Sistine Chapel, and you will see the keys of Peter hanging right above the chapel doors. If that doesn't tell you something, okay, and we're running around with these things, okay, yeah, there's something to it.
Hey, Rob, I have a question.
There you have it, man.
I have a question for you. When you went into this Maryland courtroom, did they ID you? What ID did you present?
No, they didn't ID me. In Maryland, they don't have IDs. They don't ID you at the door. But I definitely brought my ID. I brought my Divine Providence ID, which basically says I'm a universal postmaster. Being that I'm foreign from the 14th Amendment citizen, I am a diplomat, because I'm from a private country with its own country code that has no borders and boundaries. And that's registered with the UPU, the whole bit. Again, you can't look it up online because they don't have the private stuff online. Right. I know a lot of people, it's probably like, it's hard to trust these days. It really is. But, hey, man, I'm trusting it, and the results I'm getting are phenomenal. So, no, they didn't card us.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because I know there's some courtrooms that they won't let you in without a de facto ID, and yeah, a lot of us have kind of turned them in.
Well, it's about to get worse. You know why? Because I issued a document again last week, and that document basically is called Divine Witnesses to Enter Court, okay? Because remember, I believe in noticing. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to notice them. So I noticed them that we were entering court. So we took that document and we used it for Hollis, who is pretty close with JT. He's got a big tax thing going on down in Tennessee. And he goes down there and he uses this document, and they lock the whole court down. And they say no one will enter this court that is not in controversy. So in other words, no participants. You can't have family members in. You can't have nobody. Pretty interesting after we just gave them notice that the Divine Witnesses will be there in original jurisdiction. They locked it down. They were like, I don't care ID or not, you're not getting in, which was pretty amazing. Not to mention, here's what they did. They took this man, okay, they brought him in. They said, we're going to have a jury trial. They called in 20 people, and they dismissed 14 of them, kept 6, okay. They brought in 20 more people, dismissed 14 of them, kept 6. They picked 6 out of those 2 lots. What is that? 6, 6, 6. What is that telling you? They're doing administrative and ecclesiastical at the same time on this guy. Okay, so these guys are not playing around, but ultimately at the end of the day, there's nothing they can do because the war is over. And their boss's boss who started all that garbage said it's over. So it's going to play out. We're not. I mean, that was just today. I haven't heard any more developments from JT on how that's turning out. But the fact that the document itself did that to them, again, speaks volumes. That was one document. I wrote it in 2 hours, and it was about a page and a half, and had nothing to do with any statutory nothing. Didn't say UCC. Did not say anything to that degree. Actually, the only thing it said in there was that you're a Title V administrative court, and you are held to Title 18 penalties, and you're not in Article 3, Section 2. They were the only references to their charters that I had in there. Okay, and when I say Article 3, Section 2, I don't say the Constitution. I say your corporate charter. Article 3, Section 2 of your corporate charter, because that's what it is. So we're seeing now that the courts are trying to deny us entry, which is fine, okay, because now we're going to start issuing orders that say if we are denied entry, okay, yada, 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 so on and so forth. And what do we put in our documents? Every time I write a document, thank you very much for your assistance in bringing us into and helping to create world peace and abundance. You know, we are here in love and light, and we appreciate you working together. Let's do this together. Thank you very much. Have a good day. And you know what? It kills them every time. There is not an adversarial negative word in any of my documents. I don't do it. You know, just like when I went to court for those people, the first thing I did was walk in. I smiled at the guy. Hey, I said, hey, sir, good morning. How you doing? Big old smile on my face. You know, I'm not going to go in there like I'm begging this guy for my life or their life. I'm not going to go in there. No, why? Because this is a business meeting. We got the trustee. You got the estate. We've got the real living beneficiaries. Let's get business done and go home. Well, he didn't want to roll that way. He wanted to try to tell me it was his courtroom. I said, well, you're wrong. It's not your courtroom. It's my courtroom, and this is how we're going to go. And you listen to the recording. Actually, you probably did listen to it, Rick. I think I sent it out, so everybody knows how it rolled. You know?
Right.
And
yeah, that's that was a very interesting scenario there, and I'm really glad to hear that the Maryland encounter that you just had worked out. You know, we've got about 3.5 minutes left. Rob, is there something that you want to bring forward at this point?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know, again, you know, there's a lot of research that people should do to kind of understand this, and, you know, a lot of people are skeptical, and that's okay. You know, not everybody has to be a Divine Providence member, because we're about to open this up to be available for anybody. You don't have to be a member. Okay, it's not ready yet, but that will be there. You will have to pay a small fee for the documents. I mean, obviously, you know, we're putting a lot of time and effort into this. But what we need right now are people who do want to be part of this to really stand together. If we stand together and we push at one time, we're going to get this ball really rolling. And I'm telling you, we're right on the edge, man. It's all right here ready for us. The Iraqi dinar is about to revalue and all that. So that's all I can tell you, man, is I'm here in peace, love, and light with everybody that's around me, and I hope that people will join us in the same thing. We are not here to be rulers of the world. We're not here for money. We're here for each other, period.
Right, yeah. And all I can say to that is amen. I want,
well,
you know, and Rob, I just want to say on behalf of everyone who's listening and will listen to this show, because generally what it really gets played on is the archives. You've been a fantastic guest. I appreciate you coming on and bringing all this to light. And for anybody who has questions, Rob, do you want to give out some kind of contact information?
I'd like to figure how to do that. Actually, would they be able to funnel them through you somehow? And the reason I ask is because I'm about to lock myself down in a room and start getting this process together for September 1st, so I'm going to be a busy dude. I just quit my job, and I have no job lined up because I'm running on pure faith, and I'm doing it. You know, I have faith that the Creator will provide for me when I need it. When I need money, He will make it appear. It will happen one way or another. My mission is world peace, and this is what I have to do. So if we could somehow funnel them through you, and maybe you could send me a list of them or something, and I can send them back, that would be awesome.
Is
that possible?
Yeah, not a problem.
Okay.
So if you want to get
go ahead.
If you want to get a hold of Rob, you can email me at therockofsalem@yahoo.com, and I can certainly send it on to Rob. That's therockofsalem yahoo.com. Go ahead, Rob.
And real quick, we're going to start giving webinars. I still have to get this situated with JT tomorrow. All this is happening so fast. We're going to start doing webinars every 2 days to update people on what we're doing for the September 1st push. Okay, so there will be information. I will be basically getting information from JT. He and I will have about a 15-minute conversation the day of the webinar. That way I can disperse the information. Also, for those of you who are listening, like I said, JT is yes, he is in talks with the Jesuits, and yes, he is in talks with the ancient Asians and different ancients of the world. Believe me, there's a lot going on. So he's going to be disseminating information through me, and I'll be putting it out there twice a week. Hopefully. Now, don't hold me to that because I still got to talk to him tomorrow. We got to iron out the bugs. Regardless, it's either going to be once a week or twice a week. I'm going to do webinars to bring everybody up to speed on where we're at and what it is we're trying to do.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, Rob.
Thank you, Rick. And thank you, everybody, for being on. I really appreciate all of you.
Yeah, thank you. So for Rob Marques, this is Rick Hidalgo. This has been another episode of the House Hidalgo Show. Appreciate you all for coming on. God bless all, and stay safe.